Hello, dear viewer. Well, I continue to please you with new videos. First, a little introduction, and let's get to the story. This week, we have an interesting story that has already been fully released on our Patreon in my full voice and without any censorship. So I think that a subscription to our Patreon will pay for itself in the first hour, and it is worth its money. This story is interesting its beginning. Personally, I was interested and intrigued by the relationships between the characters. They got along well enough with each other, and the alcohol did its thing. Take it any way you want, but here we go. I'll give it to you. Chapter 1. I was doing a little shopping, picking out a few things, when I noticed her. Tall, deceptively tall. The 2-inch platform and 6-inch beige heels were too big for her condition. She stumbled as she walked beside her husband. The bewildered man looked at his wife's wobbly gait as she walked beside him. She stumbled slightly from time to time, her knee buckling outward, her leg twisting. She looked drunk, and I wondered what she was doing shopping like that. I figure she's in her mid-30s. Nice body. I happily followed them down the aisle to admire the view. I lost sight of them, skipping down a few rows to get to the frozen food section. I had just had time to load the basket when I felt a heavy weight on my arm. There she was, pressed against my bicep, the smell of alcohol overpowering anything else she might have been wearing. I hunched over the basket, leaning on my elbows as I walked. She bumped into me and clawed at me. "I'm sorry, baby. I'll make it up to you. I promise. I'll make you feel amazing," she whispered, her head low and pressed against my shoulder. I looked around and didn't see the other half of her company around. I don't know why, but I didn't try to convince her that I was her husband. I walked slowly, the clatter of her uncomfortable shoes outpacing my quieter footsteps. "Don't be angry," she said softly. At the end of the aisle, I saw the back of her husband, who seemed to be looking for something. I guessed what it was. We walked over and I stopped next to him. "You seem to have lost something," I said, grinning. His eyes widened, and I thought he was going to have a seizure, but then his features softened. "Dana," he said softly. She looked up at him and smiled, a big, stupid, drunken smile. She was still clinging to my hand and didn't seem to notice the inconsistency of her actions. It was a strange scene. He stood with his eyebrows raised, waiting. Dana leaned against me, her hand resting on mine, smiling at her husband. I stood quietly, not wanting to be part of the big scene. "Can we go home?" she said. He started giggling as I pulled her hand away from mine and steered her toward her husband. She took half a dozen tiny wobbly steps and clung to him for support. I don't think she was even aware of my presence. Then I realized what his wife's problem was. We were very much alike, both about 6 feet tall, probably 190 pounds or so, broad build, dark hair, fairly short, white polo shirts, jeans. From the back, it was easy to see how wrong she was. I was an inch or so taller, but otherwise remarkably similar. "Sorry about that," he said, turning his wife to face me. I saw her upside down for the first time, and for a moment I was stunned at how beautiful she was. She squinted at me, and her pretty little nose and forehead wrinkled in confusion. "The birthday celebration started early. I'm going to beat those friends of hers," he explained. Dana looked back and forth between us, then leaned her head against her husband's shoulder. "Please don't be angry," she wheezed. "We broke up and I decided it was over. I'll have a nice little story to tell at work on Monday." In the parking lot, I walked to my car. There was an empty space 2 steps from my car, and as I walked by, I heard crying before I saw anything. She sat on the ground, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her posture was not very modest. I stopped and pulled her down to get her to her feet. She lifted her head and threw herself into my arms. "Don't leave me, Gary. Forgive me." "Shh," I said, holding her upright. "I'm not your husband. Where did he go?" She looked up into my face, squinting. "You!" She purred and ran her hand over my face. I dodged and shook her lightly. "Stop it. Why did you get me into trouble?" She whined. "I didn't do anything." She began to cry. "Dana, where's your husband?" repeated I. She shook her head. "He left me," she sobbed. She looked up at me again, her eyes filled with confusion. Do I know you? Come on, I'll take you home. You're in no condition to stay here alone. She agreed, which tells you how drunk she was. She let me carry her on my arm and held onto it for the entire 20 feet it took to get to the car. I let her into the car, fastened her seatbelt, resisting quite reasonable urges, and drove out of the lot. Where do you live? After a few tries, she gave me the address. They were new to the neighborhood, only about a mile from my house. My GPS gave me the directions I needed, and I listened to her whine about the situation for the few minutes it took to get her home. Don't give my things away, she pouted. I left them at Cherie's this morning. I was in a hurry to get home. They wouldn't let me go until I finished my celebratory cocktail. It's not my fault. Birthday shots? 28. At night I made 17. Then they beat me with pillows. Did they beat you with pillows last night? She struggled with the seatbelt and unbuckled it. She turned her butt toward me. This morning. I didn't do anything with anyone, and they just beat me with pillows. Did they hit your back with pillows? She sat back down to her normal posture. Carla. She started and the others didn't stop. 28. Each. All 5. She crossed her arms, pouting. Going to get them back. I'm in trouble. The image of it all just thrilled me. I pulled up to her house, but the driveway was empty. Are you sure this is where you live? She nodded. Know my house, she pouted. I got her out of the car. I walked her to the door, and after watching her fumble with the keys for a minute, I took them from her and unlocked the house. Stumbling, she walked over to the couch and fell to her hands and knees. I picked her up and laid her on the couch. You're a good guy, she said softly, making herself comfortable. What's your name? Jack, I laughed. What's so funny? You showed me your ass and just now asked me my name. She grinned. Naughty boy. Want me to make you feel good? Of course you are, Dana. You're gorgeous, but it's not going to happen. I promised. I can do anything. She closed her eyes and spoke softly. She would pass out before she could finish her sentence. Besides, I'm not the type to take advantage of a drunk woman, especially not a married one. Not after my personal experience. No way. I can, she whispered. Eyes is my birthday. She practically sang the ending. Damn, she was cute. I took an Afghan from a nearby chair and covered her with it. Leaning over, I kissed her forehead. Happy birthday, Dana. She smiled at me, already half asleep. I was torn between keeping an eye on her and leaving while I had the chance. The decision was made for me when her husband walked in through the kitchen. Dana, he shouted. She's on the couch, I said quietly as I approached him. He stopped. Whether because of my comment or my presence, I wasn't sure. I saw him blush. You brought her home? I nodded. Couldn't leave her there. Not in her condition. She got out of the car. She was screaming. Ran between the cars. Yeah. Told her she could walk home. But I didn't want her to. It was stupid. I just wanted her to calm down. That's it. Calm down. I got to the end of the row and waited. She never came back. When I got back to where I left her, she was gone. I drove up and down every row, checked the entrance. I even paged her. I thought I'd lost her. I didn't know what to think. I've never been so scared. I could see how upset he was. She didn't even have a purse. She was in the car. I couldn't call her. I was scared to death. It's all right now. She's lying down. I didn't do anything to her. I hope you believe that. He nodded. I guess if you did, you wouldn't be here. Probably at your house or a motel. I really screwed up, didn't I? It's not for me to decide. I've screwed up enough myself not to judge others. Did she tell you about last night? Her sorority friends. Take her out on dates to get her drunk and get laid. Mean. I shook my head. 28 shots in 28 years. 11 this morning, when she was still probably half confused last night. She told you all this? Yes. She swears she doesn't spin. I believe her, though I guess it doesn't matter. Pretty incriminating. Drunk as a skunk and red as a beet. Did you see that? I saw the anger build up. I decided to embellish the truth a bit. She was sitting on the sidewalk, her dress half pulled up. I'm sure she didn't realize she was showing the world the results of her party. Damn. Yeah, that looked pretty bad, didn't it? I nodded out of decency. I need a beer. You want a beer? I'm going to have a beer, maybe a six-pack. It's a strange situation. Come on, give me that much. It's weird. Sure, why not? We took the beer into the living room, and he sat down on the couch next to his wife. I sat across from him in their love seat. We formally introduced ourselves to each other, talked about the neighborhood, and the fact that they had just moved in. Very strangely, we talked for half an hour, while his gorgeous drunk wife lay passed out. It's a good place to be. I moved here almost 5 years ago. It wasn't much more than farmland back then, I said. She snorted and turned around. He pulled her onto his lap, stroking her. Personally, I would have taken off her shoes, but he seemed to enjoy touching her feet in those insanely high heels. He shook his head. She's not in control of herself when she gets like this. I shouldn't have agreed to her going out with them. When they get together, it's bad. Tell me about it. I had a girlfriend a few years ago. Everything a man could dream of. Kind, beautiful, loving. After about half a dozen drinks, she'd have a moment when she'd lose all inhibitions. Jumping in the pool, kissing all our friends, dragging me to the bathroom to do something nice in the middle of the party. I sipped from my mug of beer, reliving old, painful memories. Unfortunately, one day, somewhere after 10 drinks or so, Linda forgot who her fiancé was and got something bad for it. She tried to keep it a secret, but within a week, everyone knew. All our friends, ruined 2 marriages, humiliated me. I never heard the end of it. After that, I left her and moved back to Texas. I couldn't trust her. She swore she would quit drinking, but I was young and unforgiving. I couldn't forget what she had done. Too bad, I thought she was the one. The love of my life. He nodded, and I saw that the Afghan had slid down. That's exactly right. I want to trust her. I love her to death. But when she's drunk, you've seen what she's like. Add to that those college girls, and who knows what's going on. I wouldn't be surprised if they took over the whole bar, and my wife was the main attraction. I'm not doing anything like that, she said, trying to raise herself up a little. She put one foot down on the floor. Are you sure? Her husband asked. She furrowed her brow, concentrating. Pretty sure. Someone kissed me. Maybe a few. But we left. She grinned. I told them I was married. Didn't take off my ring. I'm a good girl now. Gary still had his hand in that very spot. It was weird as hell. Are you a good girl now? He asked. I saw his smirk. She nodded, a drunken smile lighting up her face. Yes, just my wonderful husband. She reached down and covered his hand with hers. Naughty hubby. In the stall. One of the guys kept trying to touch me in there. I hit him. She sounded awfully proud, waving a small fist in the air. Do you believe me, baby? I've been good. I promise, she said, seeming on the verge of tears. Yes, I believe you. She leaned back, grinning. I'm a good girl, on my birthday. She sat up again. Where is my friend? He brought me home. You left me. She pouted. I'm still here, Dana, I said. She turned her head slowly, furrowing her brow and squinting her eyes. So damn cute. Jack? This way. She grinned. He was nice. Didn't try to do anything. I showed him how I'd been hit with pillows. Her husband sighed. I'm still very unhappy with you, Dana. You promised to be home by 2 a.m. Then your friends call at 4 and say they'll have you home by 9. You show up at noon drunk, half dressed, and without a car. Worse than our honeymoon. She nodded. I told them. My hubby's waiting. Got hot, brought him home. I told them. They're nothing but trouble, she pouted. They're my best friends, Gary. They take care of me, make sure I don't get in trouble. I laughed, and Gary looked at me perplexed. At least Dana lifted her leg back into his lap for good measure. Maybe you should talk about it when she can remember, I said. He nodded. Have you had problems with your friends? Yes, 3 of them. One was sick with cancer. I made the mistake of demanding she give it up. Why the mistake? She didn't give it back, She just lied and covered it up, made it worse. She used to lie to me, and after that her friend hated me to the core. She's the one who set my little girl up." "Set her up?" asked Gary. As Linda told it, she was caught in a bedroom with some guy, blind drunk, and she started flirting a bit, teasing, as she did when she was in that state. Another joined them, and the flirting got more and more prolonged. Someone was constantly touching her, stopping her from complaining, feeding her drinks. After they. Such details, YouTube forbids to insert in the video, so keep in mind that the full version without censorship and with voiceover is on our Patreon, and the link to it in the description. So-called best friend started bringing all the guys at the party to approach her. A few married ones too, at least 8 that we know of. "What a fool," Gary said. "I never lie to you, baby," Dana said, obviously paying at least partial attention to him. "My friends wouldn't do that. They know I love you, and you're the only one for me. They care about me. Care." She sat up and crawled over to him. She wrapped her arms around her husband. "Please don't take them away from me. I can barely see them as it is. Don't make it worse." She tried with all her appearance to show her displeasure. "Please? For my birthday?" She said the last phrase in a little girl's voice. I laughed again. "She really likes to celebrate her birthday, doesn't she?" He nodded, grinning. "We both are. She's usually pretty good about it." "Very good. You said I was the best. The best." He lifted her chin and kissed her. "You are, sweetheart. The best in the world." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'll make it up to you. You know that. Your birthday's in 2 months. Even better than last year." He laughed out loud. "I don't think that's even possible." "Better. It's okay. I promise." She turned on her knees, sitting sideways to him, and looked at me across the short space. He's what?" asked Gary. "I want to, for my birthday. You promised." I saw him blush. "I thought we agreed about Derek," he said softly. "No, you wanted Derek. I do," she said, extending her arm and pointing at me. "Baby, you promised. You said stranger, not friend. No one from work. No assholes. You said that." "I know, but why him? We don't even know him," Gary objected. I was on Dana's side. Unfortunately, it looked like he was getting somewhere with Derek. "He's nice. Hasn't been rude to me. He hasn't taken advantage of me." She giggled. "He looks just like you, without contact lenses, like twins." "But Dana, we've already told Derek. We don't even know if Jack would want to do something like that." "Ask him," she objected. "I don't even want to see him. He's creepy." "No, honey, it's too late to make a change now." She was a determined little drunk. "You promised. I don't want Derek. I want my Jack." She began to persist. "Don't you like your birthday present?" "I liked my birthday present, babe. But we have plans." "No, Jack. No more special birthdays." She pouted, crossing her arms angrily. "None. I'll cancel. I'll cancel." She pressed herself against him, grinning suddenly. "You don't want me to cancel. It's the best thing in the world." She was good. I saw him hesitate. I had a feeling it could be a great night. Incredible, even. "Okay, but you ask him," he said, looking down and avoiding my gaze. She squealed and hugged him tightly and kissed him. She stumbled, getting up from the couch, but managed to stay on her feet and walk over to me. She pulled up the bottom of her dress, smiling demurely. She was trying to be confident, and it was damn cute to see the intoxicated, sultry look fail. But that didn't make her any less confident. She did it very carefully, moving in front of me. She leaned closer, looking into my eyes. "Do you want to do something, Jack? I can give you the gift I promised. And even more than that, anything you want. Can I have you as a birthday present?" I was careful with a girl like this, and gently began to fulfill her fantasies. "Nothing weird?" I asked. "No, varmint," she giggled. "Both of you. Make me go crazy. This is my fantasy." "And you chose me for this?" She grinned. "I like you. And you're just like my amazing hubby. Big, tall, and dark and handsome. I bet I won't even know which one is which." She wasn't lying, and it was all happening in real life. "I'd love to be your gift, Dana. But are you sure you want to do it now? Are you up to it? You can hardly sleep." She grinned. "I don't drink anymore." Maybe a little coffee to perk me up. I'll be on my best behavior. I promise. Don't you want to?" She pouted. "I'm not sure I've ever wanted anything more," I admitted. She looked over her shoulder at Gary. "Coffee. Statuesque." She giggled. She chose me. She was so damn sure of herself. She could probably get any man she wanted. I bet she'd rejected dozens the day before, and she chose me, all because her husband looked like me. I was going to do everything I could to make sure she didn't regret it. "I knew it was you," she whispered. "My Jack." "Let's take this holiday dinner somewhere else for now," I told her as I walked across the living room floor. I turned and sat back down on the couch. Gary came in from the kitchen. He sat down next to me and she climbed over him. "Whoa, careful," he said, holding up her coffee and moving it out of the way. In his other hand, he held 2 bottles of beer by the neck. She didn't care. She wrapped her arms around him and spoke in a very sweet voice. "I love you so much. Thank you. I promise you won't regret it." He held out her coffee, and I could see she was drinking it black. It looked strong. I had a personal opinion about this. The darker and stronger a woman liked her coffee, the more open she was about everything that was going on. Nothing scientific, just personal experience. I was eagerly awaiting another fact to confirm my special research. Gary handed me a beer and then raised his own for a toast to my beautiful wife on her birthday. I clung to his bottle. "I'll drink to that. She's gorgeous. You're a lucky man." He grinned. It seemed as soon as he gave in, most of his worries disappeared. "And you're the lucky one who's going to find out how lucky I am." Dana chuckled. "I'm the happiest I've ever been, the best hubby and new boyfriend in the world." I sipped my beer, watching all of this. She seemed to be in heat. I decided that was a good thing. I felt Gary pat my shoulder and hold out his closed hand. I opened mine and he dropped something small into it. "What's this?" I asked. "Endurance. We have a lot of work to do. I promised we'd wear her down. I'm not even sure that's possible." Dana leaned back, swaying slightly. She sipped her coffee, and I drank the medicine helpful. It wasn't the little pill I'd seen, and even used a couple times. Something different, but I didn't know enough about the various alternatives to recognize it. She handed the coffee cup to her husband and turned to face me. "So shall we start celebrating my birthday?" My heart sank. Her face was beautiful. Damn it, slim waist, flawless skin. "Does a cat have a tongue?" she teased. "You're fantastic," I said. "And just for my hubby, my amazing, perfect hubby. Hant hubby, until now. You like it?" "I love," she pouted sweetly. "No crush. You can like you, even super duper like you, but not fall in love. I only love my hubby, and he loves me." "I'm super duper into it," I told her, smirking. Gary stepped away for a moment and returned, holding out a bottle of water to her. He took her hand and put some pills in it. I was a little surprised at his pharmaceutical approach. "What?" she asked, squinting and looking at her hand. "Aspirin. I don't want you to have a headache in a few hours." She smiled and took them, drinking half the water. I was really thirsty. This is delicious." I felt weird. I wasn't going to take the first step to change that. "Dana, for you, tonight. I'm ready. Never before, but for you. This is your special night, your birthday. What kind of gift would I be if I didn't take care of you?" She turned to Gary, smirking. "See? I told you so. My Jack will take care of me, just like you will. Derek will take care. I knew it. Jack gives, not takes." Gary's hand stroked her side. "He's your gift. It's okay. I just felt awkward because we already told Derek. He was really looking forward to tonight." "Yeah, sure. I actually felt sorry for the guy. I can only imagine how I'd feel if they changed their minds now." "Better call him," Dana said. "Yeah, while I was making you coffee. He's not happy, but I guess he'll have to live with it." She moved over to him. "I've made peace with it. We'll make it up to him, okay? Not like tonight, but we'll work something out, right?" He nodded. "A little something. That's about it. Changing your mind won't get you 2-1. She chuckled. "You don't need him. I'll do something for you. After all, you promised. Maybe give him a show. That's all there is to it. All I need is my awesome, awesome hubby and my Jack." I had to admit, she didn't look as drunk as she used to. I don't know what was to blame, the hour's sleep, the drink, the coffee, or the situation. She was still mixing up her words a bit, and seemed a little out of it, but she looked and spoke better. She jumped to her feet abruptly. I want to dance for my men. She walked over to the stereo and brought her face close to the CDs. Damn, I was going to hit her. Hard. Why don't you put your contacts in, babe? I don't. I like the fluffy one. My 2 men are a little blurry. Might even want to wear a blindfold. Would you like that, hubby? She was already starting to sway to the music. She was amazing. Talk about me, she purred. Like I wasn't even here. Like I don't matter. Gary laughed. Have you ever seen anything like that? I shook my head. I can't say that I do. And you live with that 365 days a year? 366 in a leap year. Jealous? Hell yeah. I think I'm the second luckiest man in the world today. Only second in luck? He grinned. She moved closer, trying to get our attention. You, sir, are certainly the luckiest of all. I swear I've never seen anyone more beautiful. He grinned. Hell yeah, I'll drink to that. We toasted to our beers, and for a brief moment, I wondered where I should draw the line at drinking. I didn't want any performance issues to arise. Dana was so close that her feet were touching ours, adjusting her dance to each new song. Honestly, Gary said, do you think I should make some noise about those evil friends of hers? I'm not good at giving advice, but I'd say no. I think she's loyal to you, don't you? He nodded. She had me worried. It was too much for Dana. No, baby, I'll never do anything without you. Never. They know that. You know the old saying, keep your friends close, I said. And your enemies are closer. I don't think they are really enemies, just troublemakers. That's what you tell them. Let them know you appreciate their concern for her, but the way they dumped her is over the line. That's it. Don't be rude, but let them know they almost ruined everything. Don't push them away. Dana chuckled. You really don't want to do this, sweetie. Alia hate it. It'll ruin your birthday present. She leaned over him, resting her hands on the back of the couch. Everyone knows. You're the best. That's why they'll never hurt you. Never make things bad for us. Just for you. What do you mean, just for me? She chuckled. That would be telling. You need to wait. Until your birthday. She moved toward me. She did cross the line, Gary said, watching her closely. Just a little bit, honey, she said over her shoulder. I wasn't misbehaving. I was just late. And drunk off her ass, he reminded her. She pouted sweetly. I'm really sorry. It's really not my fault. What do you think? She'll get away with it? He said to me. I think you punished her enough by scaring her to death in the parking lot. She scared the hell out of me, he said, obviously still a little annoyed with her. Then do what needs to be done. Let her know it will be worse next time, and her friends won't get away with it if they keep it up. Dana laughed. Yes, you're completely right, Gary. They have themselves to blame, especially Carlu's. And you're blameless? She pouted. Do you think this will be the best birthday ever? He laughed. That's right, isn't it? She nodded. Come here. She looked nervous. You've been bad, Dana. Left me so worried. Stayed up all night. Barely slept at all. Not knowing what you were doing with those fools. Ran off in the parking lot. He slapped her cheek, and the crack of his hand was loud, making her cringe again. Coming home with an abused wife? What was I supposed to think? I tried to stop them, she wheezed. 2 more quick, sharp blows. Get up and get me the phone, he hissed. She looked worried as she ran to do what he demanded, with cute steps in high heels. A few minutes later, she returned. Call Sherry. Why? Don't ask questions. Take a stand and call her out. She pouted and dialed the number, then lay on his lap. Gary took the phone from her. He put it on speaker. Dana? A voice asked. No, Cherie. It's Gary. Dana's under house arrest. Don't be hard on her, Gary. She was good. I'm sorry we held her up a little longer. The little one? She was supposed to be home by 2 o'clock. Then I was told, not asked, but specifically told that she would be home by 9 o'clock. What time did she show up, dead drunk, ruining all our plans for the day? A little after noon, the voice replied. I want you two to be together, Cherie. I do. And you're making it hard, he said in a disgruntled voice, slapping his wife lightly. What was that? Asked Cherie nervously. She will be punished. Seriously. Next time she won't be the only one, do you understand? What are you doing to her? They're mad at me, Dana whined. Very much so. You guys shouldn't have hit me with pillows so hard. He got really mad. Thought I was showing off. Shit. We didn't mean to. That damn Carla. Don't hurt her, Gary. I'm really sorry. We all are. Is anyone else in your crowd still here? Yes. Yes. Jenny and Donna. Put it on speakerphone. Let them know it's their fault too. After a few seconds, we heard a multitude of voices. How many are there? Asked Gary. I don't know, Dana whimpered. Looks like I'm going to have to start over. 9, I said. Are you sure? He asked. 9. He wasn't that cruel to her, and she screamed like he was killing her. I think it was mostly a performance she was acting out for her phone audience. Stop it, Gary. You'll kill her, came one of the voices. Next time, follow the damn rules, he growled. I'm not asking for much. I'm letting her come out. I trust her, and I trusted you. But we had a deal. I made plans, and you ruined them all. On her fucking birthday. You know what birthdays mean to us, and you went and fucking ruined it. We didn't, did we? Asked Cherie. Didn't exactly ruin it. Please tell me we didn't. I wouldn't have stood for it. He finished the last couple strokes. No, not completely, but I'm not happy. Is that understood? Not ever again. You don't want her to have to find new friends, do you? Hell, I'm just now starting to get used to you girls, and I sure as hell don't want to have to make new company. Best friends don't do what you guys did. Donna cried like it was the end of the world. Are you done yet? Please, don't hurt her. We're sorry, asked Cherie nervously when the blows were no longer coming down. Halfway there. Our overnight guest must do his part. Derek? Dana sat up. The crying stopped abruptly. She waved her hand imperiously toward the phone. Gary handed it to her and she took it, turned off the speakerphone and spoke quietly as she walked away. She stopped in front of the full-length mirror by the door. Then we lost her in the kitchen. Too harsh? He asked. Not at all. I think it was masterful. I'm sure they understood what it was about. Everyone. Don't be too hard on her, okay? I wasn't. Not really. I don't know what all the yelling and whining was about. For her friends, showing off. Big strong hubby puts her in her place, trying to make them jealous. You think? I'd bet on it. Beer? He asked. I argued. Last one. He nodded. Me too. Take the pressure off a little, you know, but not enough to interfere with business. I asked him where the restroom was, and he pointed the way. When I returned, he was already back with his beer, and Dana was waiting patiently. She had already washed her face. Your turn, she said to me. Roll over. She looked at me nervously. I think your very indulgent husband took care of the ruddy cheeks. I wouldn't want you to be unhappy for the rest of the night. She smiled. Thank you. She smiled at her husband. Can I pick them out or what? You think that's what taking care of me is all about? You're doing great, honey. The first one was for extra convincing. I wasn't being rude. The first dozen were solid enough to jab and get her in the mood a bit. 2 more, sharper. 14, halfway through. She nodded silently. After that point, the fun part begins. I slapped her hard, making her jump and shriek. Please, Jack. You'll remember next time, won't you? I said, slapping her a second time, just as hard. Yes, she shrieked. I'll remember. I will. I leaned over and kissed her. Okay, I'm not going to hurt you. Promise? She asked nervously, her eyes watering. Cross my heart and hope to die. I swatted her hard enough for her to feel, but not painful. By the time I got to the last one, she was out of control. Another one, I teased. Hard or soft? Tough, and then you have to make sure it doesn't happen again. I laughed. Her breathing calmed, and I started again. Stop teasing me, damn you, Jack, I laughed, leaning into her face. God, I love this. Is it time to move on to another place? She turned to her husband. Make him stay with us all night. He only laughed at her. You chose him, remember? She pouted and turned to me again. You wouldn't leave me in the lurch? No, I'll take care of you. We both will, all night long. Now why don't you go to the bathroom? God, you're such a sneak. I'll get you for this. Yes, you'll get me, and get me, and get me, and get me. Damn, do you always torture women like this? No, that's Dana's specialty. No one else deserves it. You're the best, remember? And it's your birthday. We're doing the best we can. She pulled my head down and kissed me. Do you know how much I want to celebrate this birthday with you? She whispered. Oh, yes. And another thing. Go. Hurry up. Promise? She said, smirking. Let's go. I watched the birthday girl wander down the hallway, preparing to meet us. Honestly, I was still catching myself thinking. I couldn't believe my luck. I was supposed to be her birthday present. Shit. Her husband and I headed to the bedroom, and I could see that Gary was a little nervous. I decided it would be a good idea to calm him down, if at all possible. Have you guys ever done anything like this before? I asked. He shook his head. No, first time. How about you? Me too. Look, Gary, I don't want to cause trouble. If I do something you don't like, something that makes you feel uncomfortable, call me out. If you need me to stop or even leave, just tell me, okay? He nodded, then smiled. That's not really going to work. Why? I'll be honest. I'm not comfortable with all of this. I would never share it with her, but she really wants me to. I guess I'll have to accept it. It's her birthday. I know. I understand. A birthday is a big event for the two of you. You have no idea. Our birthdays are special. It's when we met, when we got engaged, our first time. She's the best thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm going to do whatever it takes once a year to give her everything she could ask for on that day. He grinned. I shouldn't complain. She always found a way to make my birthday incredible. I mean, really incredible. He started to undress, and I took off my shoes. I'm jealous. I wish I had what you two have. I was close to it once, but I blew it. I think we both messed it up. She got stupidly drunk and chose bad friends. I couldn't forgive or accept the humiliation. I wish things had worked out differently. I'm sorry to hear that. Believe me, I know I'm doing fine. She's the best. He looked at me, still dressed. Are you going to take your clothes off? I think she can do it herself. I remembered something and pulled out my wallet. I want you to know that I'm clean. Got tested after my last relationship, and that was over 2 months ago. I held out my disease-free card to him. He examined the card. Do you carry something like that with you? I nodded. A lot of single people do. The game isn't worth risking your life for. If my partner doesn't have one, it's not an option. He held it back out. Do you trust us if I tell you we're clean? Never been with anyone else? I think that's already obvious. Yes, I trust you. Good. He grinned. How do you want to do this? I put my hands up in a sign of surrender. It's up to you guys. I'm happy to be a guest, but I'll let you two run this ship. Do you want to help me with the bed? He asked, pulling off the covers. Sure. What do you need? He walked to the closet and came out of there with a blanket and another sheet. We put them down. We spread out the blanket and covered it with a sheet, just in time. His wife came out. Her hair was in a ponytail. Her makeup was exquisite. I don't know if I've ever seen anything more beautiful in my life. Are my boys ready? She purred, leaning against the door jamb. Is this yours? I turned and asked Gary. All mine, and yours from now on. Damn, it feels like it's my birthday. I turned to face Dana. You're gorgeous, birthday girl. She grinned, then walked over to me and pouted. Why is my present still wrapped? Do you want someone else to unwrap your gift? I asked. Her grin grew even wider. No, it's mine. I have to unwrap it, right? Of course, I said. She turned and smiled at her husband. Nice birthday present, isn't it? Gary nodded. You picked well, babe. God gave it to me. Found him and gave him to me on my birthday. Gave me Jack. All yours, beautiful, I said softly. What's up? How do you like the beginning with these hot gifts? I think you like it, and let me remind you that the full uncensored voiceover is already available on Patreon. Now let's talk a little bit about the situation in general, and I want to ask you a question. Dear viewer, If you're still listening to this, do you think you would trust your partner's birthday to give him a gift like this? Personally, I think it's a cool practice for families who have tried just about everything in their relationship and they want something new and extreme, even something like this. But keep in mind that such entertainment requires a good trust between you and your partner. Because if it is not worked out, you can just drown in jealousy and it can all lead to divorce and a complete breakdown of the relationship. And I think that not everyone wants such an outcome. Anyway, thanks for watching the first part. The second and final part will be out soon. Give it a like and be sure to subscribe.